That Mayegun, that man do they talk, he do they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman pikin, they the street, they hawk. Still them talk, say, make we no talk. But thank God, say, Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make you.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀, làmọ̀ tó lódodo. Mayegun làwa mọ̀, làmọ̀ tó lódodo.
Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us this afternoon or this morning. It is brunch time with Mayegun live.
Àṣírí ọ̀dẹ̀lú kì í kó níbẹ̀ o.
It's been a while, I know. Take your time to read beyond the caption of the broadcast. Read the description of the broadcast. And then if you are not the politically correct type, then you can stay. If you are an abobaku, a ronuku, and a full Igbo bigot, you may not really have to stay and watch this. Others, tell everybody that Mayegun today.
Ani esuraki. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú esuraki. Ani esuraki. Lórí Facebook.
Tinubu and his gang.
Ani esuraki.
APC, Egbekegbe, the ACN that metamorphosed into APC. Egbekegbe. There are some certain things we really need to remind ourselves. And that is what I'm going to do this afternoon. Among others.
Ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí fa ayé ẹ̀sùnra aṣòfin tí ń rúfin òwò ayé ẹ̀sùnra lọ́wọ́ olóṣèlú ayé ẹ̀sùnra.
Thank you so much. If you stumble on this broadcast, this moment, all you have to do is share it. Spend another 15-20 minutes with me and see if it is going to worth it. Share this. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. It is brunch time with Mayegun. And this session, this afternoon or this morning, it is going to help, shed more light in the ways, shed more light on the ways of APC, Egbekegbe, especially Tinubu and his gang, the little ignored factor that is the fuel for the institutionalized bigotry, tribal hatred, religious upheaval, and all other narratives out there that have kept people so busy and distracted than the killings going on around them. I'm not even just talking about the terrorism, the economic destruction of Nigeria perpetuated by APC, Egbekegbe, and why is tribal, hatred is their most potent weapon, even where they are failing. So that's what we're going to do this afternoon. So since yesterday, I intentionally, because you know me now, so I intentionally shared a lot of content on Mayegun's Diary Political on Facebook, okay? A lot of content that was to further educate the minute, hateful, myopic Ronukus, as well as Ronukus of Yoruba land, as well as the Ronukus from other places too, where the supposed bigotry in Nigeria that you are seeing today, which we believe has always been there, right? Until APC, Egbekegbe, had to use it, weaponize it for political, So that is why we're going to do that this morning or this afternoon. Depends on your time. And you know me, say me, I be storyteller. That's what some will say. Story. Because in that story lies all of the ingredients, that is, all the ingredients that are meant to help you understand the Nigeria that these rogues have created and forcing down your throats. So yeah, I'm going to tell it as a story. Let us go back to 2000. I will use 2000 now. So 2003, when Bukwari first came back that he wanted to be president of Nigeria, and under a political party called ANPP or APP, or Nigerian People's Party or something. Was it not the ANPP then? Doesn't matter. Anyway, Bukwari tried indeed 4 times. 2003, 2007, 2003 against Obasanjo second term, 2007 against Yar'Adua, 2011 against Jonathan, and then he decided to quit. What happened? Bukwari had what INEC later recognized as 11 million votes of Bukwari from northern Nigeria. So this is also the genesis of the terrorism in Nigeria too. Political terrorism, labeled Islamic jihadism, all for political power. So again, right? They were like the fanatics. So in 2007, Bukwari parted ways with APP and the rest of them and started his own political party. He called it CPC. Don't ask me the full meaning because I'm not going to tell you the full story there, right? And this party was supposed to be Islamic party that represents sort of Sharia. And in the north, with the narrative that the northern Nigeria is bigger than, the population of northern Nigeria is more than the population of southern Nigeria. From this background, why would Bukwari not be president with his party? So with this fanaticism, he was able to gather together Islamic jihadists, pretentious criminals, looters, were future looters, who were able to help Bukwari keep hold on his supposed 11 million voters from northern Nigeria. And they were being fed with their Islamic jihadist belief, with the promise that they were those who have to save Nigeria. Even if it had to lead to them having to start a war to doing it, they would. And they did try. So in 2007, he lost again against Yar'Adua, which he believed he was rigged. Yar'Adua also said it was the worst election. So until they told Bokwari, mind you, in 2003, they said in order just to make it, Bokwari just needed maybe to look like he's national, and to also stop the fact that he is part of those who led the onslaught, the program against the Igbos in northern Nigeria. And it felt like when that genocidal war took place, it was an unfinished business. So it was obvious. People Bokwari have spoken with in private, they've told everyone about his narrow-mindedness, which means you have to be a northerner, then you have to be a Muslim. Then you have to be a northerner. You have to be a northerner, then a Fulani, then a Muslim, before you can actually get into any good book of Bokwari. However, they needed to package him like he's not a fanatic, he's not a jihadist. Guess where they went to? They went to Eastern Nigeria to go and get an Igbo partner, Ume Ezekwe. Ume Ezekwe, that happened to be Bokwari's first vice president at the time, also happened to be the national chairman of the APP at the time, until he now got to CPC level. So everyone with Bokwari believed that, why? I mean, whenever they said Bokwari lost, it was like, from where? By who? You know what I mean? Like, it is that narrow-mindedness of, they have all it takes to make anybody president. But they couldn't. So in 2011, when Jonathan contested properly and defeated Bokwari again, they killed over 500 people. Listen, out of those they killed, right? More than 10 youth corpers were slaughtered in Bauchi because they believed that an infidel has been rigged in, and that infidel was Egbere Jolantan. So these were the guys who now went back in 2011, the beginning of the establishment of Boko Haram. Now move it forward to 2012. The Save Nigeria protest, Abi. Then to 2013, Tifnumbu, who was also a local champion in Lagos, not even in Western Nigeria. You understand? In Lagos, he also kind of, he's created a sort of a cult, imaginary, dangerous political followership, which was that Tifnumbu and anything Tifnumbu is interested in represents them, and therefore it represented Lagos. It is what Lagos wanted. If you choose to be against that, you are not just enemy of Tifnumbu, you are enemy of the people of Lagos. So they were pushing that narrative there. Now, let's go back to Bokwari and his own team. Remember, they believed that how could anybody defeat any northerner? Their supposed political arrangement with the Eastern Nigeria through APP didn't move anyone, didn't move a needle in the sack. How do we need to go about this? Let's come together, and then we can, from our own side, we can push the narrative that even if Bokwari was bad, if a Yoruba man is involved, it will set it straight. Look at Western Nigeria. The most educated, these are also the handiwork of the Lagos Ibadan media, here you get, who have over the years, they've created a narrative for all of us in that contraption. Western Nigeria is the most developed because it has Lagos, and they had Western education, free education. Oh no, there is the Ekiti state has the highest number of professors in Nigeria, and all those narratives were the creation of the Lagos Ibadan media. Western Nigeria is so developed that nowhere else is better. If you see, look at all the Igbos. Look at them from the Eastern Nigeria. Everybody wants to be in the Western Nigeria in Lagos. Look at the Northerners too. All of them want to be in Lagos. It is to show to you that Yoruba land is more developed. This narrative were created. And guess what? To make it worse, some of us grew up believing that. While growing up in undeveloped on-tar road, poor medical facilities, dilapidated dilapidated school structures, poorly paid workers, poverty growing and breeding, all these things were the things we grew up with too, but we were made to believe that we are the best. That no matter what we're going through as Westerners, you need to go to Eastern Nigeria. They are suffering. That's why everybody is escaping. Oh, if you need to go to Northern Nigeria, man, they are doing Bambiala. They are begging. You see, they come here. We go and give them food. We go and give them this or that. So they give us that sense of, what do you call it? Pride. Even in the face of abject, wanton poverty, while we watch them destroyed the same education, while we watched them destroyed the same economy that could have given our supposed graduate educated youth jobs, we saw them, but we still had that pride, no matter how bad it is. And this was the impression they gave them. Look at Tifnumbu in Lagos. Lagos used to only generate 45 billion or 100 billion naira. Listen up, 100 billion naira in tax a year. And then Tifnumbu came. He just changed everything. Lagos is now generating 700 billion naira a year. Do you want them to develop Nigeria as they develop Lagos? Yes. Even person where they inside that same shito Lagos, we no get electricity, we no get good road, no drinking water at all, like provided by government. So there is no electricity, no security. I mean, it is it's like a chaos. But they made him believe that whatever you think you are going through, if you go to Anambra, if you go to Enugu, and because he's never had the chance, he is so poor that even within Nigeria, he is so poor. An average Yoruba is so poor under these criminals in the last 25 years that they've raised a generation that could barely go beyond Ore. And they want to talk about Kogi. They want to talk about Enugu. They want to talk about Kano. They want to talk about Zamfara. Because their criminal leaders told them that whatever they are going through, whatever they are being through, whatever their children are passing through, it is still better than other people, and they will never have a chance of affording affording what it takes to even kind of leave that area. And they know it. Sorry, I'm sweating here. It's so roasting now. I don't know why. So we're raised that way. If a Yoruba man developed Lagos, match with a repentant dictator, it will just make Nigeria great. And some people bought into it, like, even if it was tough for them, they felt like, yeah. Then Bukwari became the president. And Nigeria started collapsing, like at a never seen rate before. People started calling out Bukwari. Within that same period, Fulani terrorists started taking over everywhere. How, like, every day, tens of death. And then we were condemning Fulani terrorists. We were condemning a Fulani president that chooses to relax the supposed security apparatuses in Nigeria going after terrorists, relaxed them, and then started proposing us to get used to our killers. Boko Haram, a Fulani man from Daura. Fulani terrorists are raping and kidnapping women, in Ogbomoso, Yoruba land. The vice president to Boko Haram, the Fulani man, is a professor, Yoruba man. Let's call them out and call out what they are shielding. They said, no, we have to give them lands. We're calling them out. Guess those who were pushing the narrative that calling out Boko Haram was an hatred on the northern Nigeria. Guess those who started gaslighting us. They are calling out the Fulani terrorists was an hatred on the Fulanis. And for 8 solid years, we were battling the tribal war. If we had the right to call the Fulani terrorist without being attacked, and the crimes of this Fulani terrorists, they are being pardoned. We are seeing that. Rather than actually go after the criminals, they were started going after us. Guess who did all of that? Tifnumbu and his gang. They were so tribal, so bigoted, that even northerners were sometimes shocked. Like, eh? No. We're not thinking it this way. We didn't see it this way. Man, actually they were doing all of that because they believed Boko Haram was their pathway to becoming the president of Nigeria. Yorubas were being killed. Tifnumbu said, where are the cows? Those Ronukus. They asked as well, where are the cows? Let us watch our mouth. We should be careful. We should be careful what we say. Where is the evidence? Well, how are you sure that they are Fulanis? Let us be careful. Let's be careful. Look at the IPOB. IPOB people, they are the most dangerous. Instead of you to talk about IPOB, you just because you hate Fulani, that's why. Fulanis, Hausas, Kanuris, they are victims of all of this insecurity in northern Nigeria. Baba, Tifnumbu and his gang almost forced, well, they did succeed. They forced them to believe that it is not good to come out and say because you are dying, because they are kidnapping and killing you. It's not good to come out and say that. That is against, it's like going against your brother. You know, if they remove your brother, they will put another person brother there. So what is going to be your fate then? Instead of you to just pray for him, don't support these people. Now the Igbo people won't remove them. Igbo people hate you. You Fulanis, you need to know that. You must know that Igbo people hate you. And Boko Haram himself, who was like an, what do you call it? A Fulani bigot. They couldn't hide it. They made a bigot, the president of Nigeria. He boldly came out and said, over 40 million people, they were just dotting a circle. These Ronukus were everywhere for 8 years. They supported Boko Haram. They said 5 states in eastern part of Nigeria, that they call them 5 plots of land, when you reach the size of Ibadan. I'm giving you this background so that you know where we are today. And you will know that these Olori Burukus don't speak for anybody. They do not speak for Fulani. They do not speak for Hausa. They do not speak for the North. They do not speak for the South. They do not speak for Yoruba. They do not speak for anybody. And if you remember all of this, this is how criticizing Boko Haram turned into Fulani phobia. They said now because we hated Fulani, they said because Boko Haram is president and is a Fulani, that is why we hated him. They said we hated him for calling out the corruption, calling out the nepotism, calling out the incompetence, calling out the impunity, calling out the failures. They said now because we hate him, because he be Fulani. It wasn't the Fulanis that came out and said, criticizing Bokwari was because we hated them. Oh, it was this Lagos Abobakus. It was them. They were writing different columns. They were on TV. They were doing all of this because that's the only way to cover their failure.